Why I left MAGA? So I came across this, and I mentioned this to Q earlier, but I'll finish the conversation that we kind of started when we had our production meeting. I came across this creator. His name is Danny F. Collins. If you want to find him on, I think it was Instagram. Um, and the algorithm just serves up what it serves up. I come across this video, and he's talking about what the appeal was for MAGA for him, what Trump's appeal was. And he kind of talks about his journey kind of through Trumpism and his way back. And I happen to know, Q, that you have some friends who are at probably all three of the stages that this creator is talking about. So when I came across this, that's why I sent it to our group chat for production notes in case we wanted to talk about it today. It's because I thought you might have something some interesting insight into this way of thinking. Because I honestly, I don't know many folks who are, of course, I know some people who are MAGA, all the way MAGA, but I don't know them in the way that you do. These are all people that I've met recently in my life or whatever. Most of the people I know are very kind people, kind-hearted people. So it would be unconscionable for them to be MAGA. Just not saying MAGA people are awful people, but they're not really known for that. They're really known for being afraid of what could go wrong and trying to protect themselves and us first. And the people that I tend to have in my friend circle are people that are really active in trying to support and care for others, right? And that's just not something I would associate with MAGA folks, right? So the MAGA folks I meet are kind of the, what comes to mind when you think of MAGA, very America types, So I thought you might have some more insight, and I wanted to get your thoughts. So for everyone listening, I haven't gotten Q's thoughts on this. Indeed, Q hasn't even heard this content yet, but let's get to it. And I'd be interested to hear what it is that you have to say about this creator's content. Here we go.
My name is Danny, and I left MAGA. I left MAGA in about 2021, but the reason why I gravitated towards Trump in MAGA was because I was uneducated. I was misinformed, but at the time it was at the height of the Black Lives Matters movement and Trump campaigning for his first presidency. And Trump convinced me, like many other white men in this country, that we were under attack. Our way of life, our values were under attack, that we were tolerant of every group unless you were a white, straight, Christian, conservative male. Then you were the cause of all the problems in this nation. And ultimately, it made me the victim. And the truth is, Trump made me feel safe in my mediocrity. When I was part of MAGA, I never had to learn anything new. And Trump didn't make me or other MAGA folks racist, xenophobic, misogynistic, transphobic, or homophobic. He just allowed us to be the people that we already were. The United States of America was founded on racism. It was founded on misogyny. It was founded on homophobia and transphobia. And when all of the isms and phobias were under attack and people were now forced to be held accountable, rather than taking it as an opportunity to grow, many white folks doubled down on their ignorance, dug in their heels, and fought back. And to the privilege, diversity, equity, and inclusion begins to feel like discrimination and oppression. And it wasn't until I decentered myself, deconstructed, that I found real peace.
Okay, real quick, I want to make sure that I say this. Again, that creator's name is Danny F. Collins. If you want to find him, that was Instagram. And it's important to the story. He is white. Okay, so Q, does that sound at all like maybe he's talked about some of the stages that some of the folks that you know are kind of dealing with or going through at all?
I don't know a lot of people who have reached his point of, oops, I made a mistake.
Sure. Okay, that's fair.
And you giving so much more bail and grace and benefit of the doubt to MAGA than even this gentleman who had enough sense.
Yeah, I knew that was going to come up. Sorry.
You're darn right it's going to come up. Why are we soft shoeing? And I don't want to say they're evil. Why?
Let's circle back to that, but go ahead.
Please circle back because I want an actual answer. At this point,
Okay.
I don't know how you could reach a conclusion where they're not
Okay.
right?
All right.
Either
Let me,
very unintelligent, and the only reason I say very unintelligent is to keep from saying very evil.
evil. Yes. Okay. So let me
There's no
let me give
middle
you what
where
you're
they're
looking
just,
for.
well-to-do folks that are just looking out for their
Okay.
own.
So
Like, no, what are you talking
well,
about?
let me give you your answer. Okay. That gentleman that we just heard from was indeed MAGA. He was in the thick of it, and he's like an actual content creator. All of his stuff is about the reflections of his time in MAGA and what the appeal is. And you and I, we work in the space of trying to kind of decode some folks like that, or give our listeners the tools that they need to go to their Thanksgiving tables and their water coolers at work and decode the people around them, right? So if I were to look at that man, I would say, oh, he's a decent man. Now that he's deprogrammed, right? But that decentness, from where I sit, had to be in him all along. He had to have that moral compass in there somehow, and it just needed a reset, right? And so when I do talk about MAGA folks, I can say, hey, they're on some wild stuff. I can say, whatever, but I try my best in moments that, because we only have our words. We work in radio, so it's not like we have visuals and stuff. I mean, well, folks that check us out on YouTube can, but we don't have visuals. We only have our words. So I try to use my words carefully because I know that MAGA folks listen, and I try as often as I can not to just write off the entire human being, even though I know they just listen to troll us. Maybe there's the off chance that somebody might be listening. I want them to hear a brother. I want them to hear a path back. And I know sometimes I get in trouble because I do end up, you're absolutely right, I end up soft shoeing around real important, heavy issues that we do need to take these people on head on. But that's why I keep you around. You're like my anger translator. So where I fall short, I kind of need you to kind of keep me honest, and, where there is the opportunity to kind of reach out and bring somebody back over to like a shared reality. I'm sure you appreciate the fact that I have kind of leave at least a little bit of grace, a little bit of a backdoor back into, hey, look, we're all on this journey together. So that's really kind of why I soft shoe. Sometimes I don't get the language right, but that's the intentionality. So anyway, back to this guy. I know that journal and the mental gymnastics it takes to get there and then to get out is got to be very complicated. And you always share stories with me about people that that are kind of at different stages, that not always at the end, but I thought that this would be something that would resonate with you, particularly because of your friends that you always tell me about.
Well, most of those conversations I have with you are about friends in the past tense. You can't be my friend currently and be a MAGA supporter.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no space for you here. And the intentionality and how you might feel later, well, it's like with anybody else. If you wrong me and you say, hey, my bad, then now we can have a
It's all
conversation.
good, yeah.
But if you're still wronging me, what are we talking about? Like you're actively harming me now. Still. Okay, I pointed it out and you're still doing it. Okay, I pointed it out again and you're still doing it.
Yeah, I know you got those too.
And telling me why it makes sense for you to do so. You understand that you're harming me, but you now have convinced yourself that it's okay to do so. Like, no, I don't have to give you bail and give you this exit ramp where you get to still feel like a decent person. You cannot be complicit in what's happening with MAGA right now and be decent. You're either evil or completely ignorant. And I think that ignorance is willful, because we're talking about adults that can read and write and comprehend and still make that choice.
Sure.
So the most recent conversation I had with someone that used to be a friend that reached out to me after years of knowing that that was a bad idea came because finally that person found themselves in their specific particular family in the crosshairs.
Yes.
When it was just their people and just their neighbors and just their friends, they were fine.
What
But when it
happened
came to their door, when they were a target, it was like, oh my God, I can't believe that I did that. And even then, they couldn't just admit they were wrong. They start sending me pictures of trans people. Like, this is the reason why I did it. Like, oh, you still over there. You still over there.
It's
You still
tough,
feel the
yeah.
way that you felt. You just, in this moment, feel bad for yourself.